Hello, and welcome to this edition of Lift Every Voice, a weekly program of the Louisville branch NAACP, when we seek to inform our community as to what is going on and in the work of the NAACP. It is also letting you know what are the issues that are affecting our community and how you may become involved and help make changes to move those issues and to make them be resolved in the favor of our community. As you all know, the NAACP was founded to ensure the political, educational, social, and economic equality of rights of all persons and to eliminate race based discrimination. And that's what the Louisville branch has been doing for the last several hundred years. And so we're privileged today, in terms of talking about the work of the NAACP, to talk today about membership in the organization. What does it mean, and how the organization works? We're fortunate today to have with us our special guest, Claudia Gearing. Claudia is chairperson of our membership committee. And for those in the community, Claudia is no stranger. All of you know her well. She's been a longtime community worker and activist, an outstanding member of Hill Street Baptist Church, and she's a national winner. She won a national award from the Urban League for her community engagement. So Claudia is very well connected, very well engaged, and is a tremendous chairperson for the NAACP Louisville branch. So I'd like to welcome Claudia. Welcome, Claudia.
Thank you, Raymond. I appreciate those compliments. Very flattering. Thank you.
All deserved for the hard work that you do. And Claudia, I guess where I want to start is to talk with you about your involvement with the NAACP, how long you've been involved, and some of the activities you have been involved, and then we'll get into more into memberships.
Okay. I must say that I guess my interest really about becoming a member was when I was younger, when I was probably a teenager. I just didn't do it. And as time went on, there was a member at our church, a deacon, who was very much involved. His name was Mr. Willie Gray, and he was a membership chair for the NAACP for a very long time until his passing. And gosh, he was always talking about the NAACP. So finally, I joined as a life member. And that's a good thing about becoming a member. If you want to become a life member, you can make installment payments. And that's what I did and became a member. And I've been active probably ever since. I really enjoy working with the voter registration uh, drive. This year, I'm kind of just moving around, but this year, my pastor had called me to the pulpit. Guess it was in August, and he says, I need a voting chairperson, a voter coordinator. And I have selected Sister Garen. So when I went to the pulpit, I didn't know what he wanted me to do. That's what
Yeah,
it was.
yeah.
And it really made me feel good. He said, well, you're involved and I know you would do the work. And I just won't have to say this person is our voter coordinator because I know she would do the work. And I did. I wanted to really, let him know that it was an important thing. It was important that the vote got out and that I would do all I could and make him proud of me, which he was proud.
Well, that's very good. But I guess in doing this, I'm learning some new information. Willie Gray had a long and distinguished career in the NAACP. Didn't realize that it was he who got you engaged. But what
Yeah.
that tells us is that people who serve and work, part of their role and responsibility is help engage other individuals and bring them to the table.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think it's also interesting that he was membership chair, and you are now membership
I
chair.
know. I thought about that when I became the chair, when Ralph Cunningham, the president of our local branch, asked me to what I consider being the chairperson. I'm on the executive committee, but we have specific roles that we work or function in. And he was, and I said, "Oh, that would be great," And I said, "Mr. Gray, if you're up there listening, I am the membership chair, but I won't be as diligent as you were in getting people, but I'm going to try to do my best."
but but no, that's good. Let's say it speaks to the legacy of that.
Hmm.
And now you are the membership chair, the
Yes.
membership.
Hmm.
And tell us what your role and responsibilities are as the membership chair.
Well, as the membership chair, as what I'm considering, well, I'm going to give you what the definition is in our bylaws and constitution. A membership chair is one who will think up new ideas, reinvent old ones, and be creative in planning a campaign, team focused, outcome oriented, and be a great motivator for other workers. And I think I can do all those job duties. This is my second year. Of course, we know last year the pandemic that had occurred. It was hard to, to get out and to get people to solicit memberships. So this year, hopefully, things will calm down. Maybe the spiking will go down on the pandemic, on the virus, and we can maybe do some creative things.
Well, and I think that's part of it, and hopefully one of those creative things that you're going to do or we're doing is what we're doing right now with this program, which is getting information out to the community in regards
Mm-hmm.
to what the organization is, what it's involved in, and does it.
Mm-hmm.
What does membership to or membership in the NAACP mean?
Well, it actually it stands for of course, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, and I kind of glad that the title was not changed, or the word the name of the organization did not change, because it's historic and it is part of our American history. And I just think it's something that I think we ought to be involved in something, and if it's something that will if the organization will help us in many ways, then that's what I should be about. I know I've always been an act sort of, I guess I won't call myself an activist, more like a volunteer. I started volunteering when I was a sophomore at Central High School. My world history teacher must have seen something in me and asked me when I become a tutor, and I worked at the Market Street neighborhood house. It's now called Louisville Central Community Centers, and I started there in the 10th grade as a 14-year-old, and I started working and tutoring, and then it led to other things in the community, and I've been active ever since. And I think the NAACP is an important organization. Yes, it is a civil rights organization, but it's also an organization that's inclusive of everyone, not just colored people. We don't want to use that word in a derogatory way, but the NAACP is helpful for all of us. It helps the community, it helps the world, it helps our nation and then what I like about the NAACP is that if you have a problem and you cannot get it solved, particularly if it deals with racism, then you have a partner, you have someone who will be your advocate.
The NAACP, and I think a lot of folks do not realize is that at least for the Louisville branch, we have no paid staff. Our entire organization is all volunteers. So the work that you do as membership chair, you do it volunteer. You do it as a volunteer,
Right.
which makes a real difference. And to
And
be and to be effective, we need volunteers, and usually our volunteers are our members. So that's one of the reasons in which we push very, very hard for membership. Uh, at this point, Claudia, I want to tell how does one become a member of the NAACP?
well, I have a application here. Yeah, it's just very easy to become a member. And once you get your application, just fill it out. And there are various levels of membership in the organization. You can become a regular adult member for $30. A youth, if you're a youth, you can become a member for $15, and the annual corporate membership is $5,000, and the women in the NAACP membership is $10, and it just keeps going. The life membership is what I use to become a life member, and there are annual installments of $25 or more, and there are different levels of lifetime memberships. And when I became active, because I was active and I got my husband involved in it, so it can become a family affair if if we if we want it to be. And our son, he received a scholarship from the NAACP when he was a senior at Mill High School. I guess it's been about 25 years ago, but he's received a scholarship at that time. And so the NAACP is, was helpful with that. And of course, with the scholarships and if you want to become a member and become a life member and pay in installments, that's fine. But we do need members.
Okay. Well, let me as I say, let's talk in more details about those membership and membership levels. As you said, there are regular memberships and then there are
Mm-hmm.
life memberships. The
Right.
regular memberships, as you said, there's a regular adult, which is $30 a year, youth at $15 a year, corporate at $5,000, and WIN, which is women in the NAACP, for $10 a year. And we want to encourage as many people as possible to join. We also are very much interested, as you say, in lifetime memberships, and we have lifetime memberships at several different levels. You can be, even youth can, in fact, have a lifetime membership, and that starts at the level of $100, which can be paid at $25 a year, $25 installments at your choice. Then, in terms of the adults, which is the Silver Life, Gold Life, and Diamond Life, and it goes up each of the year. The silver is $750 a year, but doesn't have to be paid all at once. Gold is $1,500. Diamond is $2,500, and in each of those can be paid in installments. For silver, it's a minimum installment of $75, but it goes over. One of the things you were talking about, and people want to often ask, okay, I pay my membership dues. What does it get me, or what does it provide? And you talked about the scholarship that your son got when he was in high school that came from NAACP resources. So,
Right.
those funds get used in useful ways in terms of having an impact on the community in terms of people and where does it go. So, given those varieties of things, I guess the question is, how do we want? We can talk about how do we want people to contact us and to get involved in terms of doing those membership. You showed a membership application, which they can in fact get by visiting the office at 1245 Catappa Court. They can go online to the NAACP website at lounaacp.org. They can email the organization by going to Louisville branch at lounaacp.org, or we're part of the modern younger ages, and that you can also go to Facebook and you find us at Louisville NAACP. So all of those avenues are open and available to you. And so I would ask you, Claudia, how do you want or encourage individuals to contact you to get involved in the NAACP, particularly through memberships?
You can call 776-7608. That's 776-7608, and leave a message for the membership chair. Again, my name is Claudia Guerin, and I will be glad to return your call
Okay.
and get you involved.
And Claudia, as we talk about memberships, today we have in Louisville, we have hundreds of memberships. And given the population of our community, we ought to have thousands. So how are you going to get us to those thousands of memberships?
I knew you were going to ask. Well, right now we're, but what we're doing now, televising or what have you, or word of mouth, doing other shows, just there are all kinds of ways. Creative ways to do it. When there's other organizations are having dinners or other affairs, if get involved by setting up a table and soliciting memberships that way. One of the things I enjoy that I like about the NAACP is that it's not politically, it's not a political, you're not politically persuaded to be, because you don't have to belong to a political party. I want to say it like that.
Right.
And we don't we don't support any particular candidate. Correct me if I'm wrong, Raymond. We don't support just one individual who's running for office.
Yep. You know, we're nonpartisan. You know,
Mm.
one of the things we're doing is we're encouraging members for membership. But Claudia, we also want more than them to just be members. Talk about the things that we want them to do and to get involved in.
Well, one of the there are all kinds of things. In fact, what came to mind. Now, my husband is not like I am. He's not. He's sort of quiet and not an introvert, but just quiet. But he's sociable, and he thought it would be a good idea. He belongs to the Veterans Committee, and I'm sure they're going to be uh, probably on too to promote the Veterans Committee. And he thought it would be a good idea, and not because he was a veteran, but it would be a good idea to talk about gun safety. And so there was a presentation that he did regarding gun safety this past year, and several other members did stay and watch, listen to him. There are various things. There'll be the WIN program, which next week, which is Women in the NAACP. That's a wonderful organization within itself, and we help a lot of young people, particularly at Christmas time, with providing gifts for children who are less fortunate than other children. There's so many things, so many committees that you could be involved with. You could just have your choice, what you would like to do. Like I said before, I really enjoy soliciting doing voter registration, which is during the primaries and the general elections. I work there probably more than I do any other time with the NAACP, and I enjoy getting people to sign up to vote and calling different ones. In fact, I got several memberships that way, Raymond. When I was making phone calls about people voting, coming out to vote, several people asked me about becoming a member. So hopefully they did. I did send the membership applications out to them. So hopefully they are members now.
You talk about your husband.
Mm-hmm.
Brings to mind is that he's involved in the Veterans Committee, but because he also understands gun safety, how to operate guns, stuff. So he brought a special skill to that particular organization.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we're not only are we looking for memberships from individuals, but we're looking for individuals who bring very skill sets to it. So,
Yes.
for instance, we talk about you in terms of the membership committee, the Veterans Affairs. We're on the program back in November, so we were doing at near Veterans Day. We had a special program in which they were there, and we learned a lot about veterans. So we have an economic development committee. So if individuals are interested in working to improve and enhance the economic development of our communities, they can work there. Um, we have as you said, political action committee, which looks at political matters and bring those to the attention of the community. We got
Yes.
education committee in terms of where people want to go. We have a religious affairs committee,
Mm-hmm.
which is interesting when you talk about with your now deceased pastor who was very active in this community, also an NAACP member,
Mm-hmm.
very engaged, so that we have opportunities for people from a variety of ways to get involved. And so when we talk about taking our membership from hundreds to thousands, those opportunities for people who want to get engaged in those things, the NAACP has those available. I'm sitting here, I'm drawing blank on some of there are other committees as well that I'm not thinking about. We have a communications committee. So if you're interested in helping us get the word out to the community in regards to what is the NAACP is doing, you can do it through a communications committee. So, wherever you want to be useful, the NAACP has a role for you, and we want you there. But we also want those memberships, and we got to drive those memberships.
We're not a civil rights organization per se. And, back in the day, that's what we were known for, putting out fires for colored people, as the saying goes. But we're more than that, as Raymond has indicated. We do a lot of things in the community besides dealing with social justice. I wanted to put that in there because that's not all that we do. Well, it's still a civil rights organization per se, but I don't want people to think that that's all we do is. Back in the day, of course, there was a lot of marching, and that had to be done. because things wouldn't be the way they are today if that had not occurred. But we're more than a civil rights organization. We are very helpful in the community. We do a lot for the community in, in many ways: education, employment, social justice. Just in the it runs the gamut. So it's just not for civil rights. It's,
Okay. You talk about being engaged in a lot of activities. You've also had, as a volunteer, answer the phones in the office, and we, as you said, we get calls from all across this state on
Mhm,
all kinds of issues, and
mhm.
where we can be helpful, we're engaged. Talk a little bit about that engagement in terms of people calling in and what the organization does for them or tries to do.
Well, I think, well, for one thing, if we cannot, those of us who are answering the phone, if we cannot answer the question, we, of course, our leader, our president, is very knowledgeable, and he even sits on the national board, and we can refer the calls to him, and most likely that's what we do. And he calls back, and he doesn't wait 2 or 3 days, but he calls back in a timely fashion to find out what the problem is and what he can do to help. I've heard around many a time when I've been in the office talking to other people and trying to find out what their needs are and what that person's need is or needs are. And he's been very helpful. Sometimes he has to be assertive. I won't use the word be assertive in what he says and what he has to do. But he does an excellent job, I think, and he's been the leader of our organization for almost 14 years, I think, at least that long. So, but I think our organization is very much engaged in the community, and it seems like when something does go wrong, somebody might say, "Why don't you call the NAACP?" And that's usually what happens.
And you say about the organization's engagement in community activities, community issues. Uh, you talk about what we're doing right now. Probably one of the biggest issues in our community is the upcoming student assignment plan
Hmm.
for basically calling it a choice plan, which is to give students who live in West Louisville a choice of attending a school in West Louisville or a school outside of West Louisville. So the NAACP is involved in that, which is very, very important.
Hmm.
The biggest issue for 2020 in Louisville was Breonna Taylor and police accountability. The NAACP has been involved in both of those and continue to be involved because, as I say, as we speak, um, the Breonna Taylor matter has not been resolved, at least in my opinion, to the community satisfaction in terms of what's going on.
Hmm.
When you talk about police accountability, Yvette Gentry is there as the acting chief, and she's doing a great job. But our president was involved in helping the study group that put together the new police accountability board. And hopefully, with the Kentucky General Assembly, I guess, convening tomorrow, maybe today, they will take up pretty soon the ability for that organization to have subpoena powers. So we're involved in that in terms of what's taking place. So issues that are directly affect the community, NAACP is involved in. But our ability, or the organization's ability to get that level of involvement, is directly associated with the role that you play, and that is in terms of driving memberships. We need members, 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 and those members need to become volunteers to work, 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 and work and make things happen for the NAACP.
Yeah, I just want to say briefly that during the time we were back in the fall, right before the presidential election, and we were soliciting not just memberships, but uh, getting people to vote, register to vote. We were in a barber shop. So we go everywhere to solicit memberships and to get people to vote, to register to vote. And we were in a barber shop, and one of the customers came over to our table, and he thanked us uh, for working and getting. He was a felon, and now he had the opportunity to vote, and it was really, really very satisfying, and really made me feel good to know that he came over and thanked the NAACP for what their role in making sure that he was able to vote.
Oh, that's good. You know, that reminds, we have been involved in voter rights restoration for years and continue to be, and that fight is not yet over with, because at the end of the day, once an individual has served his or her time and paid their retribution to
Mhm.
society, they should be automatically restored those rights and not have to go through protracted process. So
Mhm.
we'll continue to do that. Claudia, we're coming to the end of our time. Is there any particular message that you would like to leave with the audience as it relates to the NAACP, membership in the NAACP, or volunteering in the community?
Well, I guess what I want to say is that the NAACP is waiting for and willing to help those who want to become members and want to become volunteers. We have plenty of work that needs to be done. Um, you will enjoy it. There are a lot of different age groups in the organization, and there are a lot of different people with different walks of life, and so it's an organization that still exists, and it's still beneficial to the community. And I would hope that you would become a member. So if you see me, don't run from me. Just listen to what I might have to say, because I'm going to be, like I said before, we go everywhere. We've been in grocery stores soliciting membership. We were at the barbershop, and that young man came over and thanked us for what we did for him. For that, just, people say, well, just to vote. Yes, that's an important thing. Voting is important, because remember, it wasn't too long ago that even if those of us blacks who paid a poll tax still couldn't go to the polls and vote, even after paying a poll tax. So, and that's another thing too, Raymond, um, that I think that maybe we should get involved in. It's more about our history, because we don't seem to know it like we should, like we used to know it.
Well, let's really thank Claudia Gehring, chairperson of the Louisville Branch NAACP Membership Committee, for being with us today and sharing with us what is her engagement in terms of driving memberships within the organization and getting those things done. And Claudia, we really appreciate you being with us, and thank you for doing that.
You're welcome. I enjoyed being here.
Well, to wrap up, what I would like to talk about, or at least in the next couple of minutes or so to bring us to a conclusion, is that the work of the NAACP is never stopped. It's always there. It's ever present. And it always needs volunteers and members. And so the NAACP is calling on each and every one of you to become a volunteer in this organization, calling on you to become a member in this organization, because when you work and do things, it really makes a difference. So we're also asking you that if you, in regards to how you can contact us, and we said earlier, you can contact us by calling us at 502-776-7608, by emailing us at the Louisville branch at naacp.org, visiting our website at Louisville, lounaacp.org, by visiting our Facebook page at Louisville NAACP, or by visiting our office at 1245 Catalpa Court. And we thank you for your engagement and your involvement, and for your willingness to work to help make change and impact our community. The NAACP needs members who are doing dues paying and are willing to work. It is only through such action that we're able to lift every voice. So help the NAACP lift every voice, and thank you for being with us.